Microphone check 1 2 1 2. Welcome to another episode of I So Bloom, a place where growth gets real, healing isn't linear, and emotional intelligence takes center stage. My name is Mario Reyes. They say if you want to go fast, go alone. You want to go far, go together. Got the squad. Mr. Chris Classic.
What up, what up?
Mr. Jamel Shelton.
What's up?
Dr. Curtis Jasper.
Glad to be here, man.
And we got an esteemed guest, Mr. Mike Jackson. What's going on, brother?
Sir,
How you
what's
doing,
good,
Bubba?
man?
Doing amazing. I'm doing amazing.
Good
What
to
up,
see you.
fellas?
Good to see you, man.
So,
You good, brother?
It's the world famous DJ Fidel.
yeah, I'm about to say, Chris,
Sorry, not
you wanna
world
do this one?
famous.
You want
Not-
to do the intro on this one?
Not world famous. It's international.
Hey,
international.
Hey, see, he can do this because we've actually been together on the road. So I'm gonna let that slide. You know what I'm saying?
What years was that? What was
I've
y'all
known this guy.
touring years?
Wait. I've known this guy since I was 15 years old.
Oh, wow.
8th grade. Yeah.
Oh, wow. So y'all like be not just, y'all went through your young man stage and then became the grown man stage
sure.
together.
Yes. So,
Hempstead to Hollywood.
Hempstead to
literally,
Hollywood, yo.
literally.
Hempstead's a different monster too, boy. Never.
We don't know what y'all talking about.
Well, Hempstead's a neighborhood in Long Island, New York.
We don't care.
And
Oh, wait, we're not gonna do that. We're not gonna do that. We don't care.
we're talking about divine
You know what?
masculinity,
You know what?
guys. Y'all
They
going
double-
toxic
we started-
early.
they double teaming.
But hold on. The
They
I
double
don't care
teaming.
is a little chip on everyone from Hempstead or Long Island shoulder, because when you're in New York City and you say Long Island, any part, Brooklyn, Queens, whatever, they look at you like, oh, that's them Long Island kids. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So there's a little.
Yeah, but
Y'all
Hempstead
familiar with
different.
that. Y'all
Hempstead
familiar with that.
different, bro. Listen, if y'all know, y'all know. I've never been to Hempstead and not almost got stuck up or carjacked. Seriously. Well, let's rewind and reset real quick.
Yes.
I would like to introduce our esteemed guest, Mr. Mike Jackson of Married to Real Estate, and as you said earlier, DJ Fidel.
Right.
All day. How you doing, brother?
I'm doing amazing, man.
Outstanding.
I woke up this morning, so I'm good.
Today's conversation is about divine masculinity.
Oh, wow.
So
Okay.
I'm really interested in this one, especially since y'all brothers kind of like became men together. So y'all kind of had to evolve your understanding of what masculinity is.
Yes.
You know, and I'm sure we all were raised around the same time frame, with the exception of Dr. Kurt, in which we were. You know,
Yo!
what happened?
That's why I be saying stuff. Because I'm the oldest on this cat. That's why I be
So let me
saying-
get this right. Today we just putting people out there. Throwing people under the bus.
I kind of felt like
Gotcha.
we started that way. We got to finish that way. You know what I'm saying? You know,
Before we get started, could we define what divine?
It's funny you say that, because the moment you said divine, in my mind, because if you look it up definition-wise, it's like from, of, or the likeness of God.
Yeah.
Sure.
Right? So you add that with masculinity, for the most part, the average gentleman is going to say, well, you're going to equate or put me next to God, right? So it's somewhat of a thing to where it's like, damn, I have a lot to look up to or live up to when you say divine masculinity, because, you know, that gets thrown out there a lot, where the whole masculinity aspect on several podcasts or just news in general, where, you know, the man or the aspect or the entity of it is scrutinized, right? Or it's where the man or the masculinity is being defined in such a way to where a lot of men feel like they can't live up to it. And it's become to where we're lacking in that area.
Also, we've added the word toxic in front of that, right?
That part.
So that now is the highlight reel when we go to social media.
You know, buzzwords, connotations immediately. And to your point, we talk about divine and being of and like God. I'm a firm believer you should never expect God to come down to you. You should aspire to. Why would I expect God to understand my perspective when I should be trying to understand his teachings? So when we think about what is divine, what is God like? Is empathy God like? Is sincerity, honesty, transparency, all of these positive attributes that people will not necessarily put on the masculine title, but yet here we are embodying them and trying our best to be godlike.
So wait a minute. So just for clarity's sake, what I got from what Mike said and what I get from what you're saying is that divine masculinity has to do with God, but is not necessarily a religious notion or a religious construct, because that, I think, is what may keep people away from even leaning in for the term.
Yeah.
Right? Because it seems like that sounds like something that is spiritual based or something that is religious based, and I don't go to church. So how can I operate in my divine masculinity if I don't have these earthly representations of what we've associated with God?
I remember when I got divorced, there was like this big trying to like reframe who I was gonna be to the family. Some aunts kind of got beside themselves and almost didn't see if I was gonna be a present dad. Are you gonna see him on the weekends? Like how many times a month? I'm like, no, I'm split right down the middle. And I remember being so frustrated that I had to write. And sometimes you try to write a poem, and sometimes you are a conduit, and the poem writes itself. And I wrote this poem easily 15 years ago, and it's still the poem that I'm most known for, and it's entitled I Am a Man, in which I go down in great detail all the things that make a male a man versus all of the misconceptions of what masculinity is. And it has nothing to do with age. It has absolutely nothing to do with sexual conquest, whatever your prowess is, whatever you're talented at. That don't got nothing to do with what being a man is about. It's about empathy. It's about raising your children. It's about looking in the face of love and being able to return it. It's about being a provider. All of these things that I determined in my own experience at what made me show up and be respected. And when you think about the level of leadership you're displaying every time you are in front of the camera, I ask, how have you integrated that divine masculine? Do you even look at that like it's a task, or is it something that you just do naturally?
Both. So for me, I've always had an old soul, literally, right? But at the same time,
Oh, I love the fact that we got Chris giving the confirmation. Like, yeah, right.
but at the same time, you know, it's like first at the party, last to leave type situation where I'll drop some nuggets on you, but then at the same time, I want to, you know, let's have some fun.
Yeah.
Right? But, and I related to, let's talk about the DJ Fidel situation where I did my first event when I was 12 years old, like a full-on $15,000 wedding. And when I showed up, they
did a $15,000 wedding at 12
years
A
old.
lot of trust in you, brother.
Yeah, a lot of trust. But they saw something in me that I didn't even recognize. I started DJing with 2 tape decks, literally, right? And I'm aging myself by saying that because a lot of you don't even know what tape decks are.
That's wild.
But 2 tape decks, and because
I had
my
a
mother
joke I
would
didn't say.
always say, "Listen, come DJ my gatherings." Because she paid attention to the fact that I was listening to, you know, Miles Davis and Nat King Cole, et cetera, at 9 and 10. And I loved it. I would break it apart musically, methodically, and everything. Construction-wise, people saw that I had something in me. I was the kid to take things apart and put it back together just to see how it functioned.
Engineer.
Yeah. So my stepfather at the time used to tell me, hey, go upstairs and fix so-and-so's table. And I'm like, why? I don't know how to do that. I saw you. Go do it. Right? So I'm bringing that all up because I stated that I had an old soul. So when it comes to being in front of the cameras for the TV show, I intentionally choose what's going to be seen, but it's also who I am with or without the cameras, right? We're executive producers of our show. So we have say what's going to be seen and what's going to be edited out. However, we purposely, you know, walk in our character. We walk the walk. We don't just talk. It is we are who we are. So there's no need to edit anything out. And that's one of the biggest blessings with our shows, the fact that when people see us, you know, they talk about the relatability, the transparency, how they see themselves in us and they just want us to keep winning and bless us, et cetera. So it's a huge responsibility that I don't take for granted. You know, I had a young man walk up to me at a wedding. He had to be at least 30. And he goes, brother, I don't know if you've taken this into consideration. I know you probably get praised for other things, but I didn't have a dad growing up. And when I watch your show, I look at you as a father figure. Because I didn't have a father, I look at how you raise your daughters, I look at how you interact with your wife, and it blesses me. Now, mind you, we're both, you know, waiting to get a drink, and I'm listening to her, and I'm like, man, let me go wipe my tears because it just hit me with something out of nowhere. Right. So it's a humbling blessing to be able to touch the amount of people we're able to touch. You know, last season we did 18 million viewers. This season, I'm hoping we double that. This season, we've been blessed to be in 84 countries. You know what I mean? So that is something that I don't take lightly.
Yeah, because easily you're taking the tropes and the stereotypes of what a lot of people have for black men.
Yeah.
And in 84 different countries, you're reframing the experience of a black man and introducing them to the whole human.
Yes.
We talk about what the show is. I know we know what it is, but there might be
right.
people that watch All Right, So Boom and may not know what show we're referring to.
Boom, yeah. So the show's called Married to Real Estate. My wife and I, Egypt Sherrod, and our family. So it entails where you literally see us take on clients, we renovate, we it's almost therapeutic, right? You get to see the construction aspect of it. You get to see the business aspect of it. You get to see the evolution of our growth. You get to see not just something go from nothing to something, but you also see another side of our family, right? A lot of the HGTV shows is specified or focused on the design or the construction. With us, we've opened up an avenue to where it almost feels like a sitcom, right? It's the black family doing positive things in the community with our clients and so on.
DJ Huxtable.
It's funny you say that.
Yeah.
It's funny you say that because as a kid, I said, I want the Cosby family.
Amen.
I think we'd
I want to put some sweaters on.
For sure.
You feel what I'm saying?
Sure.
I felt like that.
Yeah.
I don't know
You
why.
should have been on the other episode. He got like several of those.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
So what, sweaters?
Yeah, yeah, I'm that guy.
Whatever, man.
Continue, good brother.
You ain't got but two. Just got
He's a number two.
I always wanted that core family. Again, old soul, right? And I always felt like I'm going to have that. As a
So
kid.
you wanted Bill? Because I wanted to go to college and get the,
Nah,
You jumped to Bill? You was mature. You are old.
He ain't
soul.
the old. You
I
all
was like, I get Bill later. Take me to the college.
It's the empath in me, where I said, I know I'm gonna be an amazing father. I know it, right? And when the girl aspect of it came into play, with me being a girl dad, 3 girls, I didn't blink an eye. I didn't bat an eye. It didn't bother me. And I say that to say, because as a man, society shows or would like to tell you that, you know, you got to strike for that boy, right? And a lot of folks are like, are you still going for the boy? Are you still going for the boy? I'm like, no, I'm good. Because as a girl dad, I get to be emotionally available in every way, right? Because the average male, for the most part, feels like, oh, I'm not doing my daughter's hair.
Right.
That's not manly. Oh, I'm not, showing up to her recital. That's not manly. And I'm like, bro, what are you talking about? One of the things I say all the time is loving them more doesn't make you less of a man.
Very much.
And that's for girls or a boy. And what I mean by that when I say it is that it's okay to be emotionally available. It's okay to be quote unquote corny. You can be, in front
Ain't
of the
nothing
camera
corny
or
about
behind
it.
it. It's not. But I'm saying
How
that
we grew up, bro.
Yeah.
that's what I'm saying. Oh, because in the wrong environment, they'd be like, this nigga corny.
Right.
Oh, this cornball. Look at him doing this. Matter of fact, boom. All right, so bloom.
Yeah, there you go.
So
this is why it's named that right there. Thank you for demonstrating.
But I saw somebody wrote a comment. People approach me for the show, or they approach me for the podcast, or they approach me literally the interaction of me and my girls. And there was a comment where homie said something to the point of, because I had commented on something where I was stating a fact. And he goes, bro, you shouldn't even be talking. I know you something gay because you do your girl's hair. And I'm looking at the comment like,
Never say that to you face to face though.
never.
But also just
because
it
I
speaks to his
actually
level.
responded. He ain't nothing to say. But
How you respond?
when I respond to comments, which is few far and beyond, I give it to them real smart to where they can't come back at you. Right. But I was looking at the comment and I was thinking to myself, the toxic environment this person may have grown up in,
Absolutely.
or what they perceive a man to be, to where the fact that you're watching another man take care of his daughter and make sure they're okay, that you feel like it's less of a man.
Yeah. So I'm glad you brought that up because I'm curious from, I presume, the DJ Fidelf era to Mr. Mike Jackson era.
Yeah.
Or how? At what point in your life did you say you were able to, or did you have to address any misnomers about masculinity and what it was before you were able to step in your divinity? Was it maybe the birth of your child or one of your daughters, or was it, maybe meeting your wife? I'm not sure. But.
To be honest with you, and I'm sure Chris can speak to it, I've never had to address my attributes or how I am as a man. Mm-hmm. It's actually reverse. I get a lot of brothers that approach me and say, bro, because of how you are, I've decided to be more involved with my kids. Yeah. I've decided to be more or show more and be emotionally available because of how you are. Because here's the thing, how they say black folks have code switching, how we speak. We can speak like this and that. Sometimes we can go, well, all right, ladies and gentlemen, which I do with DJing, right? It's the same thing when it comes to, I would just say, being a dad, where I am all the things that I do. I can be with my kids and I can be cuddling and smart, but at the same time, I can go back to Hempstead, Long Island, and be on the corner if we got to go there and beat your ass. You feel what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. But that doesn't have to be me all the time. Like this whole thug mentality, it's within all of us. But you feel what I'm saying? Like any man in general, like if you bring it out of me, like we can go there if we want to. Everybody got homies. Everybody. You feel
but that's survival mode. We ain't
getting you don't have
it.
Right.
Right.
But at the same time, it gets tiring. Like I don't want to carry that weight with me all the time. For me.
All right. So that's kind of the question, though. Like,
so that's where I'm getting ready to go. So for me, I noticed that there was a point where I felt like I always had to be hard, or because if I'm not hard, if I'm not trying to prove a point, my homies ain't gonna feel me. Mm-hmm. And then I was like, but this is corny to me.
Right.
Like I don't need to prove a point. For me, I'd rather be with my lady, or I'd rather be with my kids, or even before kids, or I'd rather be playing lacrosse. Like I'd rather be doing something that I ain't gotta be watching my back. You feel what I'm saying? So when I recognized that, there was a video I did when I was in Germany, and I was talking to the camera, and I was cursing like crazy. Sure. And I was like, why, bro? Like, why? I looked at that young man, and I was like, you trying to prove a point. Mm-hmm. You don't got to do that.
Yeah.
The armor was on.
Yeah, on. Like, I'm trying to prove it to the homies. I'm trying to prove it to the hood. I'm trying to prove it to New York. I'm like, for what? Mm-hmm. It was tiring. And when I watched that video, I was like, he didn't know. He didn't know. But I honestly can't say what was that moment of, all right, we don't need to do that anymore. However, it just faded to where I couldn't be around certain people anymore. Love them to death, but I'm like, the energy of it. One of my sayings is being the energy you seek to exist, right? For me, energy is the most powerful thing, because at the end of the day, when the dollar ceases to exist, when material things cease to exist, tangible items, when that all fades away, all we all have left is energy. When we walk into a room, we feel energy, right? Mm-hmm. So my thing is I'm gonna be the energy I seek to exist. And when I came to that is when I was like, okay, nothing's ever gonna deter me from that. If I wanna be the energy I seek to exist, I'm gonna put out there, I'm gonna show you what it is to be an amazing dad. Yeah. I'm gonna show you what it is to be an amazing father, amazing husband, an amazing friend, etc. That's what I'm going to show the world.
But isn't that the divinity piece that we added?
Yes,
It's
exactly.
Energy, right?
That is it all day.
That's good, bro.
The minute any of you brothers, and I've watched all of you walk in the room, and I've seen people.
Yeah.
They sit up a little higher.
Yes.
Try to make
they
grab their girl hand.
Like,
what?
Here you go.
What I do? What I say?
Cut. Can we edit that out?
What my man said? We are who we are. We don't edit.
We don't want to be responsible for agreeing with you on that, right?
But that being said, when you walk in and you are holding and you are of the divine masculine,
yes,
you shift all of the energy. And to your point, I remember when I was in the Air Force, I used to go home and try to overcompensate because I still wanted them to know, like, yeah, I'm still part of this. And they're like, but why?
Right.
And I realized at some juncture, to your point, I don't remember exactly when it was, but at some juncture, I realized that it was off my true masculinity and my true divinity came from just being authentic.
Mm-hmm. For sure.
So what we talked about this at Undugu, identity plus integrity equals authenticity. And I remember they used to be freestyling on the corner, on the block, and I would try to come in with a poem, and they'd be like, nobody want to hear that shit.
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
And then now, it's, yo, Mario, as soon as I come home, they don't even want, yo, let me hear something, yo, your church for us.
Yes.
You don't we trust you more than church because we know where you're from. We know how you were raised. You know what I mean? And when I think about the divine masculine, I'm going to just say it frank, I believe that once your gifts, your money, and your dick all align, then you could operate in the masculine divine. And a lot of times, people might get shocked when they hear the vulgarity of that word.
Right.
But
they'll be okay.
If you understand how many of us give ourselves,
How we operate.
give our bodies and our energy away to people and or experiences that don't merit that.
Thinking that it's masculine, right?
Because that's
making us
exactly. They think that the conquering of bodies makes them masculine, and it don't. Needless to say, like once you master that part of your life, you'll be surprised how many more blessings start coming your way, and how many issues you have just vanish.
I want to just bring up an incredible idea or concept, specifically relating to Mike, that I've observed over the years. I was in his brother's wedding, right? So I watched his relationship grow and bloom. And I find a lot of similarities between Egypt and my wife. They're very driven, very ambitious, and they have a history of doing for self. And when you have a woman that is okay with doing for herself, that she was gonna be fine with or without you, it is a very humbling thing. And I think over time, they have both gone from being in that survival mode of having to do for themselves, that they've adjusted, and so the leadership is shared when necessary. And I find that so powerful and valuable, especially to show it on TV like that, because again, she's had real estate experience before you, right? And so on a project, even though she might be the expert and have more experience, she'll fall back and let you run the show, and vice versa. And I think that is a part of divine masculinity. When you think about, if we're modeling it after the creator, right? Mountains, lions, sharks, right? Very masculine, harsh, powerful things. And then you also have flowers.
Right.
Koala bears.
Right.
Babies. You know what I'm saying? Hummingbirds.
You said koala bear.
The same, right?
That's new.
Big word.
But the same.
That's the divinity and masculinity. You got to add that femininity piece,
Now,
right?
and that's what
That
he's talking
same
about, right?
creator created it all.
Yes.
And so, your daughter's 23 to 6 now.
Yep.
Right? So that gamut has given you the perspective of raising girls to women. So you would not truly be the man you are. You would not truly have divine masculinity if you did not infuse some of the femininity that goes with the divine part.
You literally just jumped in my head, because I was like, when he finished, I'm about to hit him with this, but you just said the feminine part. That's the scary part of being divine. the masculinity in both, right? Because a lot of men, you say feminine and masculine mixed together, they automatically go to
Sexuality.
right?
They go to
The word,
sexuality.
just hearing the word.
Exactly. However, to be in your divine masculinity, you have to understand that there is a feminine aspect to it all, right? Because we all come from, if we go back to the beginning, right? So when you're in that masculinity or that divine masculinity, you have to understand that, okay, I'm feeling emotional, or okay, I need someone to talk to, et cetera, et cetera. Like all these emotions. Society would say, oh, that's feminine attributes. No, that's just being a human being, brother.
Absolutely.
Hello.
You feel what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And because we want to be so hard, we want to be so tough, we want to be the thug, we want to be the hood, we never tap into that. And that's why so many brothers are just like messed up and just falling apart, because they don't want to tap into that quote unquote feminine side that we all have, because women have masculine sides as well, right?
Yep.
It's what we are. That's how we've been put together as human beings. And when you said the feminine part, I was like, spot on right there.
Can I ask you a question? Can you share a moment or story, a time that you had to lean into the feminine part and how that may have unlocked a better understanding of how it ties into your divine masculinity?
And maybe early on, right? Early on in your life dealing with your wife and your children.
I would go earlier than that. You know, and here's the thing. Even explaining this is like, why is that feminine? Once I get into it, right? But again, the average man or society, this is how they depicted it. However, but early on, as a kid, my mother didn't finish high school. She got her GED, and I remember being at an event where she finally got her quote unquote certificate. And I'm sitting at the table, again, being an old soul as well, and I'm sitting at the table, they call her up to get her certificate for graduating, and in that moment of rush or a flush of just these emotions of feeling proud and humble and just thinking, wow, you go, ma. And I think I probably was 14. I don't remember the exact age, but it was in that arena. And I was so emotional for her. And I don't even think she realized it, but her getting her GED was a profound moment for me, right? I just wanted to just kiss and hug on all of it just because I know what it took her to get it. You feel what I'm saying? She could have finished high school. However, with her upbringing, there were things she just couldn't do. So she had to leave. But in that moment, and I'm saying that now, but in the moment I didn't realize it, but because the question has been, but I'm thinking about that. In that moment, I would say, again, society would say that was a feminine moment to where it was like, I need to take control of this situation and understand that. So because I was struggling with feeling that way.
Well,
I was
actual feeling?
Yeah, I'm like, yo, and then I was literally like, yo, toughen up. You should, a guy's
Yeah,
crying.
men don't cry.
Nah, I wasn't crying.
Yeah, she was.
Look, Karate Man cried on the inside.
Karate man crying.
But how'd you display that, Mike? Like, did you stand up and clap? Like, how
Oh,
does it?
I didn't.
Oh, really?
I didn't, because I sat there the whole time feeling all these emotions, but I was like, nah, I'm hard, I'm tough.
Wow.
Got it.
You feel what I'm saying?
Got it.
In an amazing moment.
Yeah.
Got it.
But because I had to be man, I didn't do anything.
Right.
And I think we,
It's good.
But the feminine in me was like, boy, you should stand up, jump on the table.
Yeah.
Like your mom got a GED.
Yeah, that's
you feel what I'm
great.
saying? It was like, when I think about it now, it was like, why? Why?
May I ask, Mike, how has your spirituality and your faith shaped your understanding of being masculine?
Wow. Plays a huge role. And I'm glad you said spiritual, because I'm big on that, the kingdom aspect. A lot of people say, what's the kingdom? It's more taps into the spiritual, because religion is man-made. Feel what I'm saying?
It is.
It's man-made. And that's why those that are religious have, they bump heads with those that they quote unquote call themselves saints, or they're spiritual or follow the kingdom. Which boggles me, the fact that if there's one God, why are there so many different entities? Why is there a black church? Why is there a white church? Why is there this or the Buddhists or atheists, etc.? But there's only one, but we have all these different deities or whatever the case may be, right? But to get back to your question, the spiritual aspect of it for me, as a kid, also I always knew it was there, but I couldn't put my finger on what it was, right? Not until coming of age. And as an empath, as a person that always just wanted to see the world as a better place, do right by my friends, do right by the family, fast forward, I understood that was for me being in my spirituality. And I say that to say because every day, literally, and I say this to my kids as well, I literally wake up every day wanting the world to be a better place. Even more once I had my first daughter. I was like, oh, I need to be a part of the reason the world's better.
Yes, sir.
You feel what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
What can I do, no matter what it is, to make sure I put something out there that would probably inspire somebody or cause the world to be better? And when I started to do that over and over again, I realized, like, wow. Matter of fact, that wow moment just came to me too, because I used to be in church all the time, but I didn't want to be there. You know, auntie would take me, my uncles would take me, and I'm like, I ain't about this whole God thing. Like, why are we here? And the reason that is because, and I know it later, because I had a higher calling. And why I say that is because I used to be able to, and still to this day, I can just sit in a room and I can read people to the T, bro, literally. And when I was in church, I used to see some of the fakest people. I'm like, this environment is wrong.
Yeah.
This is just not it. Everyone's in here talking about God, 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 but I saw Miss Jones, as soon as she left, she hopped in homie's car. As soon as Mr. T left, he cursing. I'm like, but y'all was just in this building jumping around like crazy. So church for me was like, this ain't for me. And when I started to realize and come into the kingdom aspects, being more spiritual, right? Tapping into a higher purpose, understanding that God is within all of us versus not just in this building.
Right.
That's when things started to shift. You feel what I'm saying? So it drives me amazingly. It's a part of everything I do. You feel what I'm saying? I'm always playing with the notion or dissecting everything that I do or people that I'm involved with. And I even find myself sometimes, I'm like, man, is this my life? Right? And what I mean by that is, God, is this where you want me to be? Is this where you're taking me? Are you sure? I know you didn't bring me this far for me to just get this far. And
thank you.
Exactly, and thank you. So I think I answered your question, but I went around the corner and turned left and came back around to the block.
So you touched on something like there's a resistance to religion, but the submission to spirituality. And I think that's like where the secret sauce lies. Like once you really submit, the download begins because you're no longer at fight within.
Yes. Yeah.
Like you let go of a lot of those preconceived notions and desires to fight and combat internal that kind of like block your blessings.
Well, it's really spiritual at that point because it's about you, not about the group.
Yes.
Not about the religion that you are practicing or the religion that is tied into the building that you attend church, a performance.
Probably came from
a church
someone
service.
who was not you, right? A mother or father, your household. A lot of things we practice did not even come from us.
Correct. So if that's the case, then operating in divine masculinity is open for anyone to do, regardless of religious practice, because it is operating in how the Creator created you. And so if you are meant to be a leader in your family or in your community, then you operating in your divine masculinity forces you to do that, which is why you will attract those things. It may look, divine masculinity may look like something totally different for you because maybe God created you to reach people in the form of entertainment, poetry, fragrance. There are so many different ways in which we are individually called, and so there is no real linear or monolithic, I guess, definition of what divine masculine looks like.
Well, I would say
for everyone, because it's based on how you were individually created. You're 6'5", I'm 5'10".
Yeah.
It's a difference. We're here together, imagine if we were all classified by tall niggas go over here, short niggas is over here. It'd be
But that
different.
speaks to what I meant when I said your gifts, money and dick all aligned. Your gifts, like my gift is not Dr. Kurt's gift, which isn't Mike's gift, which is and they're not mutually exclusive. They all deserve the time and space to exist in the same place, and that's the beauty. Because once you submit to, you hear me say this all the time. Matter of fact, you inspired the poem. When you remember when I was at the album release party, and you were saying, I challenged you to write a joint about purpose and profit.
Yes.
And I wrote a piece, and more money.
He's been stealing your joint, bro.
No, I didn't steal it. He told me to write it. It was a challenge. And a week later, more money, more problems. Nah, more purpose, more profit.
Yes.
The money only get funny when you're not working God's promise. That right there was the jewel. Like a lot of things that I even said in this interview are sourced from that. But when I think about it, all of my blessings started to make sense. I was blessed to have sustenance and get profit from technology and but when I submitted to God's purpose and started engaging in community building, engaging in sharing my talents, I realized that what I thought was a ceiling was a step. And now I could take that step. It's just another rung in the ladder of growth and evolution that God has for me.
Yeah.
You know, and you mentioned something about kind of like being welled up with emotion. And then you also referenced how the young man at the bar almost had you get in your bag a little bit.
Yeah.
And I want to like totally dispel the myth that tearing and crying isn't masculine. So I'm going to go around real quick and say, do y'all remember the last time it is that you shed a tear?
Yeah, I've been sensitive all my life, and it was something that for a while I was trying to get away from. And now that I've come to know who I am and I'm fine with who I am, I cry regularly, man. Like a movie might get me.
So when was the last time though? The Downy commercial?
Nah, the last time Brandy and I, we just went to Tulum for her birthday.
Nice.
And I remember...
Yo, y'all been flexing all day, by the way. France, Tulum. I need to travel more. Go ahead.
And I remember being on the beach with her, and it was just like the perfect moment. We've been doing like really good in our relationship. And we had a really good conversation walking to the beach. And I remember looking to the, she was to the left of me, I was looking to the left of me, looking out at the beach. And I just felt God was with us in that space.
Amen.
And it was one of those things where like, it wasn't like an emotional cry, but like a few drops, like, damn, this is what we're working hard for. This is why we go through all the ups and downs of our relationship to get to this moment right here. And I was just full, man. And a few, dropped a few.
Amen. Give it up for that.
Right.
Let's go. Black love, black love.
Black love, indeed.
What about you, Mike?
I don't know. Honestly, like and I'm not saying it because it's a bad thing, but even as a kid, you know, it's again, that's thinking about it now. Every time I do the podcast or I'm being interviewed, all this stuff starts to play back. But I would say I have not cried in a long time, not because I haven't felt concern or felt empathy or felt like this is a circumstance that calls for it, but I am such, like I'm always in my head. I'm always, you know, Albert Einstein said that it's not that he's a genius, it's just that he sits with things longer. You know, and when you sit with things longer, you're able to dissect them. You start to understand life. You start to understand the situation a little bit more. And for me, the crying aspect of it hasn't happened in a while because so for instance, I don't have to know you, right? I don't have to know you. I don't have to know you to understand that you're a human being first. So whatever you may be going through, I get it. You could run up against that wall and bump your head 3,000 times, and I'd be like, he's probably going. In that moment, I'm not saying this dude is crazy. I'm going, what's wrong with him? There may be this issue. Like I'm literally breaking it all down. And I think because I'm always breaking things down, I never give myself time to really
analytics of it.
So you think it removes the emotion?
No, it doesn't remove the emotion because again, I'm empathetic for literally the smallest things. I always get that like a lot, literally daily, where I'm like, I'm getting ready to cry, but then I start analyzing and breaking things down. Literally, the smallest things, like watching a movie, I'm like, oh my God, that's amazing. Like, I feel it to my core. And then I start, for instance, I could be watching a movie, get ready to feel it, and then I'll go, but what camera did they use? Like, I'll go totally left. You feel what I'm saying? And I just haven't been there in a long time. I can't remember.
It almost sounds like you are there, but you're not allowing yourself to go fully there.
Yeah, like you get the direction, you get off the exit, you pull up to the house, you just won't knock on the door.
Right.
Possibly. Possibly.
That's what it sound like, Mike. That's what it sound like, bro.
What about you, Dr. Kurt?
So there's levels to cry when you get to my age and been through what I've been through, right? There's levels to crying, right?
Your knee hurt this morning, you gonna cry?
You know, that's my point exactly. And you got to know what your body needs, which is my relationship with crying now. Now, just as a backdrop, I'm raised primarily with my mother. Right, mother raised me.
Same here.
My dad was in my life, and so I never associated crying with being weak. Right? You're raised by a mama, you're gonna cry, right? I never was shamed for crying. Crying means something hurts.
Yeah,
there's some pain, right? And so it didn't occur to me that crying was some feminine expression. So fast forward all the way up to now, I get to sort of design this new relationship with crying. Sometimes it's misty-eyed because I'm happy. Sometimes it's, I need to let it out, right? And so I check in. Like when the tear ducts start out, doing their thing, I ask myself, what do we need?
Yeah.
Do we need some tears and the laughter, or do we need full-flown out? So I've developed this
ugly
unique,
cry.
all that.
Yeah.
But I give my body what it needs when the sensation of crying comes.
Yes.
I don't hijack it with my head, with the thoughts, right, on how brilliant I am. Let me divert that. I'm like, all right, bro, what are we doing today? In this tear department, what we got going.
Right.
Just like a hunger pain or any other desire. So for me, in short, the question is, I've developed this relationship with crying, and when it starts, when I feel like I'm gonna cry, even if it's grief, right?
It's a necessary release.
It is.
Yeah.
But then I need to check in to see how we gonna do this.
So when was the last time you released?
Man, I was thinking about my pops the other day, right? That's the question, right? And so I do it. So my point is, I do it all the time. It's unbeknownst to me most time. But the actual cry, I was thinking about my pops, right? My pops passed about 11, 12 years ago, right? And I'm at the grief stage with both of my parents, where when the tears come and I sit in that grief, I go right to the celebration and the meaning part. Right? Like y'all heard me say it. Like I love grief.
Like you're reminded.
I love the grief because it matters. Grief is an indication that it matters. It's an indication that it's just a loss in form, but not in a divine form, just in the physical form.
Right.
And so I was thinking about my pops, like, dude was something, and I missed a lot. I was crying with missing him and grieving him, but almost what embarrassing. Like, dude was solid.
Yeah.
But I didn't let him be solid.
Right.
Because he didn't show up in the form that I thought he should.
Wow.
And I had to share tears from that. Like my younger self, like, bruh, you a straight jerk.
Yeah.
Dude did what he did because he had his upbringing, right? You ain't had his mama. Right? And so I had to show empathy and cry that he's no longer here, and then cry like you gave dude a hard time on that bullshit, and still was asking him for bread, right?
Right.
So that's my last thing.
You know what? It just popped in my head. I don't mean to cut you off, class, but it just popped in my head. I forgot. Actually, recently I cried.
See?
It just hit me during an interview. We did this. My wife and I, we did this documentary for. She wants to bring it to Netflix. But this young lady was doing a documentary on the hospitals and the black birth within black females and how it's just been crazy, right? So we're talking, and part of it was discussion about my cousin. My cousin passed because she was septic. She went to the hospital, just had the baby, left.
Condolences, bro.
Appreciate it. She left, and she got toxic. For those that don't know what septic is, mean your body is pretty much black inside, is toxic, right? So she died. But in that interview, it hit me out of nowhere. Now, mind you, she had already passed probably a month before. But in that interview, and I didn't cry at the moment when I heard it, my mother called me, but in the interview, just talking about it, I was trying to talk, and then it was just like, boom, hearing myself say your cousin died because of a certain situation. She could have been here, just had the baby, just got married, and now she's gone. She's way younger than me. So that was the last time I cried. Probably like it was only 2 months ago.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's good, bro.
Yep.
Yeah, me, I would stay the same. I kind of have different versions of what crying looks like. Our last episode, when we were sharing, just hearing, I think it was Jamel, when you were here with Brother Lou, right? And, you know, being able to see you physically recount a time in your life, I was just like, oh, tear. The last time I think I have had an ugly cry was at my boy G's funeral in Florida. And when I heard the news of his passing, it was sad, but it wasn't until I got to the funeral home and saw his wife and kids, and I started to think about what it would look like if that were me. And then it was just like, you know, I've had some moments of crying, laughing, which are incredible. If you know,
we have those often in this cipher.
you know, like those are great tears. You know, very healthy to have a conversation with someone when you're laughing so much. You know, is to the point of tears. That should let you know that crying in itself, the act of it, is not. It can't be feminine to cry if you could do it when you're happy.
Right.
I think it's so
But
dope.
some people look at happiness as
I was just about to-
feminine, like
Crazy.
Yeah, as a weakness.
Crazy.
Why you happy all the time? Why are you upset?
Yes,
Like,
because that's the environment that they're in which crying or in which any sort of joy or happiness is looked
taken
at as a weakness or
I think it's so
vulnerability.
dope to just recognize that we have 5 grown, successful men, and for the last 4 or 5 minutes, we've been talking about crying. And how like no one's batting an eye. Like this is a type of podcast that need to be put out there, right? To give permission for other men who might feel like us to know that it's okay. These are all human emotions, and we all should have the right to feel all the parts and aspects of ourselves.
Speaking of, I think it was. I'm a huge Kyrie Irving fan. That's like not only in the actual sport, but just the human that he is. And with his recent injury, you know, I pray he gets better. Where he hurt himself but got fouled on the play and had to shoot free throws. And in the middle of shooting his free throws, he knows he's getting ready to leave. He's injured. He can't play anymore. And at this stage of his career, if you're a fan, you're like, oh, my
This
God.
might be the
This
one.
is how it ends, right?
In the middle of his free throws, he goes, thank you, God. And it was just like, wow. When I thought about it, I was just thinking of all the things that could be going through his head. Is it thank you, God, for this opportunity to play this sport as long as I have? Is it thank you, God, that I'm still having the strength to shoot these free throws? Is it, you know what I'm saying? And so crying can be whatever it needs to be. So
Did you cry or did he cry during that moment?
I should. I felt like I wanted to. You know what I'm saying? You know,
But he did shed a tear.
like
He did have a drop or two down his cheek.
Yeah,
Oh, did it? Okay.
You know, I look at him as a
That's such
personal
a
hero.
cinematic moment.
Yeah.
One single tear.
I'm with it. I'm with it.
Bucket.
And so, you know, for people who are out there who don't believe that crying is a manly thing, I feel bad because it is a part of you. And if you get a cut, you're going to what? Bleed. That's a part of being a human. If you get shot, stabbed, hit by a car, you're going to bleed. Tearing is the same.
No different, yeah.
It's no different.
The human experience.
It's a human experience. And if you deprive yourself of it because of something in your brain, you're blocking a lot. So
You know, hearing you say that, I remember MJ, during the pandemic, I challenged myself to write a poem every day of the pandemic. I got up to like 89 days of doing this. One of them was tears, and I wrote this poem. And while I was writing it, MJ goes, "That's crazy you're writing about that because I've never seen you cry." And this isn't my latest tear, but my most proud was the day of my wedding. All of my groomsmen had something to say, or I had to say something about each of them and why they were there. And then I got the MJ.
Ugly tears.
Oh, those are ugly. I'm a dude that judges people that are online crying and shit. But the videographer who was an expensive ass videographer was there, so I shared it. You know what I mean? But that being said, I looked at him and I just saw all of the blessings God bestowed upon me that was not from when I got married, not from any other moment, but when I was a child. I felt like he was answering prayers from back then.
Wow.
And I couldn't hold that one in. And then even my latest, I think I talked about this on an episode recently, was I went to a church, a service to commemorate Chanel's grandmother. And just when they were just giving their sermon, I closed my eyes and Chris, I put this on you because you made such an impactful statement a long time ago about gratitude. And I just remember MJ getting accepted into 23 universities, being blessed to get money thrown at him. And I was just like, how happy am I right now and proud of him am I? And it started coming down. And then the lady started, she walked by and she said, "You're about to start a new journey and you're a powerful voice that needs to be heard." And she washed my feet. The highest honor, washed my feet. Honor somebody could bestow upon you. And I knew for a fact, to your point, why people need to watch this podcast, because she was getting me ready to take the journey that I needed to do with you brothers. Again, we go fast, go along, go far, go together. Got the squad with me to represent what divine masculinity looks like. And I think we do a damn good job every single episode.
For sure.
So
Definitely.
that was the end of that segment. I gotta
add this to the table real quick because as I was listening, because there's someone out there taking all of this in consideration, right? With regards, again, we're still on the cry aspect, right? And I'll put this out as a question too. Have any of you felt like I'm not going to cry in this moment because I need to be strong for my wife or my girlfriend, right? So there's a lot of men that literally won't cry because they don't want to look soft in front of their female partner or significant other. And that's something we need to address in a point of where, ladies, let that man cry.
Yeah.
Without judging him, without belittling him.
Without bringing it back up.
Without bringing it back up. You in your house as the damn newscaster. Yesterday you cried. 2 months later. Last month you cried. Right. Last year you cried. You soft. Because there's females that will literally say that to their partner. You soft. Stop that. Now that man is never gonna cry.
I've had the opposite experience. I remember, I think it might have been me and Chanel's, the first time we went to Puerto Rico, we were just sitting in the pool having the time of our life, and I started referencing my sister, my late sister. Rest in peace, Tiana, love you to death, Benny Shaw.
Wow.
You know what I mean? And it was a happy one, but it was an ugly one too. And the way that she just rubbed my head real quick, kissed the tears,
the release,
and then when it got the drink, it was like, yeah, we gonna cheers to her. It was like, oh, you were with me in that celebration. I thought I was by myself. I'm so used to being by myself out there.
Yes.
So I would say that's what that is. Do me a favor, Mike, grab your cards real quick, and now we are on to our segment of Brother with Feelings.
Okay.
So
fill me in.
How we play this game, we do an assessment of the conversation we just had, and whichever brother you feel like was in his bag the most, was the most sensitive, you know, felt the most. I wouldn't even say sensitive. He has to play brother with feelings.
Okay.
He played that card right there. You know what I'm saying? So, look at your cards. You see G is for guest, J is for Jamel, C is for Chris, and then you got M for Mario.
I don't have a J.
You don't have a J.
Yeah, Jay's right there. Why you throwing out? Whoa, what?
Well, so you have a J.
I have this?
Yeah, if you got to grab it and play.
Fuck that. Fuck that.
You're not going to accept it. Yeah, fuck it. Go Jamel. You know what I mean? We going to run a Boston on you, Massachusetts.
That's what's up. That's how your New Yorkers do. Man.
So, as an illustrious member of the Brother with Feelings Club, you already know how this goes. There you go, sir. You can put that on. and Mike, just because you are our esteemed guest, you get to be a part of this illustrious fraternity.
I'll take it.
So, as the Brother with Feelings, you get 2 minutes to just say what you need to say about divine masculinity. Speak on it, God.
Well, first, I don't think I was deserving of this before I begin.
Yeah, you were.
What made you?
Because your questions inform me of your thought process. Right? And so, in my opinion, you asked the most introspective questions of our guest and of us. And so, just thinking about the questions that you
We hired
asked.
him for that, though.
Right.
Let's be clear.
Right.
That's it.
But essentially, that's what I mean by, you know, the level of questions that you're asking tells me what you're thinking about or what's vibrating in your head as you ask the question. So that's why I thought this particular
Yo, you feel
episode,
seen right now. You feel read right now.
I feel valued. I do. I appreciate you. Brother.
Yes, sir.
So when we talk about divine masculinity, I believe I will talk about it from the standpoint of what we just shared, being okay with expressing our full-on emotions, specifically for men, more specifically for black men. I know a lot of us grew up in environments where we could not really expose how we're really feeling without feeling being less than or being seen as less than a man. And I think that we are in a time right now, specifically with black men, where you look at all the statistics, we are unaliving ourselves at dramatic rates. And a lot of that is because, in my opinion, I feel that we can't be seen as full human being. I speak about a lot of this, working with Undugu and the men of Undugu. There's so many men who feel like we have to hide versions of ourselves. And these are the versions that make us full, make us complete, make us whole, allow us to show up in our women's life, in our kids' life as whole beings, so we don't cause them to have to go to therapy. So I guess with this space, I just want to remind men, specifically black men, that it's okay to be full human. It's okay to share our emotions. It's okay to sit with ourselves when we're going through those moments and really take a journal or really just kind of think back, how did I get to this place? And just, I want to be a reminder that it's okay to be and to express our full human self. And anything less than that, we are really, we're really doing ourselves a disservice, as well as those that are closest around to us. And that's my.
Yes, sir.
That's good, man.
All right, well, give it up for the Brother with Feelings one time.
Yes.
Way to drop a gem on them.
Yeah.
So as we start to wrap up, you can't land the plane without getting some real live pouring from the OG himself. So I got one question for you. Hold on.
They coming to you then.
The question I got for you, Dr. Curtis.
What
You trying to kick knowledge?
Absolutely.
Yes.
Right. So here's what really stands out for me. The topic itself, divine masculinity. The mere fact that we take time out to discuss divinity is sort of the challenge, right? You have divinity whether you recognize it or acknowledge it or not. You don't have masculinity without the femininity part. So the mere fact that as black men and men of color, that we even have to preference this with a clarification of what divinity means is part of the challenge.
Yes.
Hear me on this one, right? So during COVID, it was toxic masculinity. Then it smoothed out to hyper masculinity. Now we're kind of going full block. What I remind people is, and I'm gonna try to clean this up as best I can. Those are the colonizers' terms. Do not confuse divinity with division. Right? Hyper and toxic are code words for you know what. Let's be clear. Right. And so these podcasts, these gender wars, masculinity versus femininity, is all by colonial design, all by capitalism, all by colonialism, all by patriarchy, all by sexism. It's a tool of the oppressors to divide. So the mere fact that we are the original people, are divine, whether you recognize it, acknowledge it, sit in the church house or not, and have to even discuss what that means and to dissect masculinity versus femininity, knowing that that is the very gateway that used to transport you from the spiritual world to the physical world, it's crazy to me.
Wow.
In terms of a debate.
Yeah.
And so the mere fact that we could add our personal experiences to this is the breath of fresh air, which in fact solidifies the perfect term that you got to lead us on, Mike, of what it means to be masculine within your divinity.
My God.
You dig?
Amen.
Hey, give it up for Dr. Kurt one time dropping the gems. Yes, you were. You definitely came to kick knowledge. All right. And as we wrap up, I want to thank our esteemed guest,
Yes,
Mr.
sir.
Mike Jackson.
Yes, sir. Glad to have you, brother.
Not just for your presence on the podcast, but for your brotherhood. Serious, sincerely.
No, I appreciate
Every
you, brother.
time the bat signal has gone up, he has shown up for not just myself, but for the community.
Yeah.
And it speaks volumes to your character.
We love you, brother.
Thank you. Thank you.
On that note, this has been another episode of I So Bloom. And I'll just leave y'all with this. There's no joy when you're unable to be a whole human being.
It's good. Let's do it.
Yes.
That's good.
That's how you end it. That's a good ending right
That's a
there.
good one.
I
That's from a
that.
poem.
I like that. I like that.
I got a lot of poems.
like
He gonna get them poems out.
Yeah, buddy.